Maybe the costume was hidden in it. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? Well, let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case. The bright red guitar not being the only thing. You don't mean to suggest that a bright black... So you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty? Is that it, right? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours, you haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside this case at the time of the murder? Honest to God, I have no idea. I have no idea what is in the case. Her fingerprints aren't on it. So she killed him out of costume. But she would have had to open the case with the gloves on. I mean, there's gloves on that costume. So she would have had to put the costume on and then open the case, if she did open it. I think it has to be the latter. I was gonna say maybe the costume was in the case. But then you'd have to open it to put on the gloves of the costume. Suicide note? Alright, no. Answer's no. But if it's the costume, why is her fingerprints not on it? This is a photograph. Yeah, no, yeah, I thought the costume. But how is her fingerprints not on it? Yes, but what is important is what is in that picture, Your Honor. In this picture. It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is... inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume. What? Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Wright, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. Yeah, no, I refuse too. I refuse to accept the theory because how? If she put on the gloves after she opened the case, then why are her fingerprints not on it? Second, how the hell did she get the costume into the case in the first place? Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end she managed to get this shot, correct? You mean this photo? Order! It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? Yeah, we have. This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. Nice job, Phoenix. Nice job. Nice job, Mia? Mia, you think this is a nice job? It doesn't make any sense. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. so the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Wait 1 second, Your Honor. The nickel samurai costume would have been Mr. Matt on guards. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places? Yeah, exactly. True, that is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this nickel samurai costume doing inside the guitar case? It was stolen from on guard. It was a spare costume. It has to be a spare costume because on guard was wearing his costume while he was sleeping in the room. Mr. On guard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we are talking about was a spare one. Nani? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 nickel samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Yes, that is what I'm saying. And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose. Oh. Oh, he was gonna frame... Oh. Juan was gonna use the costume to frame Matt on guard. Cool. But why? The victim, Mr. Corrida, was the Jammin' Ninja. Why would he secretly bring the nickel samurai spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act? And therein lies the sticking point. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Huh? No, I just... Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the nickel samurai spare costume? It doesn't make any sense. Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gutso. I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the nickel samurai spare costume to the hotel was the stage show. The stage show. He was gonna screw him at the stage show. What is this? On the night of the murder after the stage show, the nickel samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes, the nickel samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange was that Mr. Angad himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. But how can that be? The way I see it, that can mean only one thing. The conference was a setup by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida himself. The victim? Yes. The spare nickel samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corrida was going to hold the press conference as the nickel samurai. He was going to dress up as the nickel samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I'm concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The nickel samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the nickel samurai, was going to speak about Matt on guard. Yes, I guess that's what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure. What? Miss Andrews, I can see why you are pros at what you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was a setup by Juan. Oh snap! Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this. I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me. You! Juan had bet everything on the Gemin Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway. This is so stupid. These are children's shows. These are like kids' shows. He was going to ruin him, huh? It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. Nani? And do you know what this secret of Mr. Angard's is, Miss Andrews? That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. Ah, I see. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone. Every time she stumbles like that, she's lying, I think. But that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt after all. Protect Mr. Angard! And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behavior. Yes, Your Honor, I understand. It's just... Oh god. I mean, alright, so... Something that completely doesn't make any sense. We just blurt it out, and then the game justifies it for us. Look, do I have to say it again? Like a good puzzle, or like a good detective story, is one where you read the story, like all the clues are there in the story. That's like, and then if you're smart, you can put it together in your head. But if you're not smart, which most people aren't, then you read the story, and then as the story unfolds, all the pieces that you previously read will then fit together to solve the puzzle for you at the end, right? But that's the smart way of doing it, because then the player or the audience or the reader, whatever it is, the audience can look back and see, oh, it was there all along. It's just that I missed it because I'm dumb. Ha 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 ha. How clever, right? I mean, so, whereas if you like tell the story, but the pieces aren't in the story, and then as the story unfolds, the person solves the crime, you look back at the previous story and you're like, but that was never there. But that was never there, so where did that come from? You just made this up. You just made this up on the point, on the spot. It was never there for me to solve. So that's like a bad detective story. It's just, you just feel like they're just making stuff up as they go. And unfortunately it feels like they are making stuff up as they go. Because there was absolutely no evidence previously that Juan was planning to do something at the press conference, right? There were no hints at all. In a good detective story, there would have been hints. It's that hints where you can look back and you see, I get it now. I get what they were. So the plot twist here, it's not satisfying in that way because it doesn't unlock anything. They're just giving you new information. They're not unlocking the meaning behind old information, which is what a good plot twist would do. A good plot twist would unlock the hidden meaning behind the old information that you already saw, but you didn't fully understand. Yeah, I'm just saying this is bad storytelling. Alright, let's go. Protecting Matt. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. But how? How? He was sleeping there the whole time. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. Wait, why would you... No. No. That's a lie. The button was on Matt's pants. Why would you have found the button on his pants? when you were in Juan's room. She's lying again. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. Now she's framing Matt. This does account for everything. She's framing Matt. Well, I am the logical type. Not logical enough, Andrews. Yeah, we are finally seeing her true self. She is screwing Matt, throwing him under the bus. She is more nervous than a scared rabbit. If the defense can find no fault in this testimony, I am ready to make a ruling. Judge, you've been saying that the whole time. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright. Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. Yeah, for no reason. For no reason. Just because the guy, the story writer, is trying to make some fake-ass drama. Force the drama. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. Ugh. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally decisive evidence. And if you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix. I do. They didn't teach us that in school, at least not from what I remember. May I continue now? Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. No, I think Andrews had to kill Juan. So would you say this need came from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event and that hotel for the conference? Tell me. Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt on guard. And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews? Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. Why couldn't you have stopped him? But I'm sure Mr. On Guard himself didn't know anything about the press conference. Oh really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know anything about the press conference? Anyway, the important thing here is that this information is not in your testimony. Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony if you please. Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? No, I'm just setting you up. I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right. Has Mr. On Guard done something to hurt or betray you personally? Why do you ask? You were the one who helped Mr. Corridor with this press conference. And that event was supposed to bring down Mr. On Guard, yet you still helped out. The person on trial right now is Mr. On Guard, right? No, you're on trial. What the witness was thinking helping the victim with this plan is none of our concern. In any case, this means that the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. On Guard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover for Mr. On Guard? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time. I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Miss Andrews has said. I can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however. Yeah, Edgeworth. The judge is glaring straight at Mia. What? He's glaring at you, smart guy. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. Wait, wrong button. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and his murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Gemma Ninja's costume. You're talking about this button, correct? That button was found in the pleats of Matt's Hakama, isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. Ugh. Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. I am not graceful. There's nothing graceful about me. With an icy stare, yes. Hi Mia, hi. Hi, how are you? How are you doing? Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. That button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt on guard. Wasn't there a problem with this? And how do you know that? When the ends of the threads of the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly, or so I heard. I've heard that before too. But why would Miss Andrews know about this case down to such fine detail? Because she's the one who framed him. Don't look at me like that, just because I'm prepared and you're not. Ugh, and I thought I had heard this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on, it is to be here, but where and what? But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. But what you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time. Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it? Maybe she stabbed him in the chest. After strangling him, this witness could have disclosed things about Mr. Angad at any time. Why then would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? It's the same reason why Mr. Kurita planned such an elaborate conference. Miss Andrews wanted to cause Mr. Angad as much damage as she possibly could. This witness bears ill will towards the defendant. This isn't the Phoenix Wright Wax Philosophical Power Hour. And please, stop slandering the witness. No, you. As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Really? Because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy. Yeah, Phoenix, wishy-washy. Wishy-washy? Well, I guess we'll see if I press a little more. You should know this by now, but you need strong, decisive evidence to make her talk. Got it, Chief. I'm going to pin you down this time, Miss Andrews. For the moment I feel a feeling that Matt was the murderer. From the moment you saw the crime scene, you had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. How? I believe she talks about... I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. That button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. From the moment I was the feeling that Matt was the murderer. I don't know. But he was strangled and then stabbed. Hold on. Motive, opportunity, and evidence? I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right. Has Matt done anything to hurt you in any way? He didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. I mean, he was eating. He had to eat the dinner. That button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt. Well, no, I mean, it could have been torn off at any time.